Hi, everyone. It's Tessa.
And Joe.
From the Unveiling Paradise podcast.
Tessa, summer is almost here, and so many of our listeners are about to have their epic destination wedding.
And we are so excited for you guys.
Before the big day, guys, we want you to make sure you listen to these 3 episodes.
Episode 62, Deep Diving Your Wedding Ceremony.
Episode 53, Questions Your Wedding Guests Will Ask.
And episode 31, the final countdown to your wedding day.
And if you're planning your wedding here in Hawaii, hit us up and ask us about our Unveiling Paradise podcast promo.
Happy planning.
Welcome, everyone, to the Unveiling Paradise podcast. Hello, co-host Tessa. How are you doing?
I'm good. How are you?
Super good. We have quite the topic to get into today. We are talking about engagement photos.
This is going to be a good one. I'm very excited for this.
Perfect. So, engagement photos, right? So, what is an engagement photo? This is something that you do before your wedding, right? With your boo, right?
Your boo,
With your boo. There's so many things that people use their engagement pictures for. Engagement pictures are great practice, right? For the wedding day, you can use them for your save the dates. You can, have some great photos to post on your Instagram or your wedding website. There's so much you can do with your engagement pictures that are really nice touches for your wedding day.
Yeah, and I also like, when people take some really, really beautiful engagement photos to have them set up at your wedding, so when you have your welcome sign and you have this gorgeous picture of you guys, I just think it's a great way to kind of take advantage of those photos that you took.
Totally. But here's the big question for today. How do you prepare for your engagement pictures? So today we're going to be talking about all of our pro tips on how to make the most out of your engagement session. Funny story, we actually have a couple, their wedding we're doing together in July. Super awesome couple.
Shout out to Kavika and Roxanne. Hey, guys.
And we just photographed their engagement pictures. Now, there was a lot leading up to actually,
without me, I was not there.
Yeah, but they had so many questions for us, like how, in terms of like choosing outfits, and they went back and forth with, trying to figure out what is the right outfit for them, what is the right location, hair and makeup, all these different things. So I think this show is going to be super helpful today because they had so many questions on actually what to do beforehand to prepare themselves for their engagement pictures.
Right, exactly. So, I help them just kind of talk through again, like where to do it. How far in advance should they do it? Should she do a hair and makeup trial beforehand? What should they wear? So again, just all of that back and forth. I think this is a great thing to talk about today because our couples can be more prepared and make the most out of these sessions.
So let's get into today's show, how to prep yourself for engagement photo success.
Let's get started. Welcome to Unveiling Paradise, your go-to destination wedding podcast. I'm Tessa, wedding planner and owner of Fred & Kate Events.
And I'm Joe, wedding and adventure photographer of Joseph Esser Photography. We are based in Hawaii, one of the biggest, most popular locations for destination weddings.
We want to share our real-life experiences with you, give you insight from a professional's perspective, and still make sure you're having fun in the process.
We're huge believers in the fact that planning a destination wedding can be one of the most amazing experiences, and we want to bring you along.
We're so excited to talk with you about weddings, Hawaii, and everything else under the sun.
So pack your bags and let's get started.
So Joe, I have a question for you.
All right, what do you got?
When you are selling a package, photography package, do you ever suggest that they do an engagement session with you beforehand, before the wedding day?
Yeah, totally. Engagement sessions are, for me, super great practice for our couples.
Yes.
Right? So a lot of our couples, they've never been married before. Most of them.
That's fair.
And if they've been married once or twice, but
or 3 times.
Maybe 3 times.
Whatever.
But it's not something you do all the time. And it's the same thing for engagement pictures. Have you ever had your photos taken as a couple before? Maybe you have. Maybe it's been once, maybe twice, but it's not something that you do all the time. And so for me, I like to encourage doing engagement photos just for the sheer practice of itself.
Exactly. And I think something to keep in mind too is a lot of couples will tell me, oh, we take pictures all the time. It's selfies. It's very different to be with a professional photographer and you're kind of standing awkwardly. It's very different when you're just getting a headshot of your selfie and you look good and you know what you like. Whereas with a photographer, you're just getting all these different angles and different things. It feels different.
I think the other big thing that I want to talk about too is this is actually kind of a great way to get to know your wedding photographer. So when we show up to your wedding, you've really had a great experience with us beforehand. So when we pop into the bride's room, it's like, hey, there's Joe. When we pop into the groom's room, hey, there's Joe. We already know he did a great job with our engagement pictures. We trust him. And it's just like, I think it's sort of that ease of mind that our wedding photos are going to be just as awesome because you have that touch point, you have that experience, you have that time to like get to know each other and get to know the couple's angles and get to know the way their chemistry is and the way that they interact. You get to know the couple, and that's huge walking into a wedding day.
I definitely think it's an added level of comfort. The couple on the wedding day already has so many things to think about. To meet such an integral vendor for the first time can be a little overwhelming. And so for a lot of my couples that are a little anxious or nervous, I will always encourage them to do an engagement shoot. And if they don't live here, if they can't, at least meet them or chat with them before to kind of put them at ease.
One of the things that I hear pretty much from every single one of my couples, with maybe the exception of a very few, is I feel really uncomfortable being photographed. I always feel like when I take pictures with my partner, it's super awkward, right?
Yeah, always.
And if that's your concern and you're like, oh my gosh, is my wedding day going to be just full of awkwardness? I say, again, do an engagement session because we get to work out all of that awkwardness beforehand. A lot of times it's just getting the couple to know that they are working with a professional and that, we have so many things we can do with a couple to make them feel normal and natural and not awkward in their photos. It takes a lot of that stress and kind of concern of, are we going to look awkward in our photos off the table? Because you've already done it and you already know that it's not going to be awkward.
Right. I definitely agree. And again, I've seen, some of my couples after the engagement shoots and they were like, hey, I didn't know I had a good side, so working with my photographer or, he taught me how to kind of move my arm a little. And so there's just these tips that if we can get this sorted out before your wedding day and you can kind of practice, and I know it sounds silly, but practice taking pictures with your significant other, your wedding day is just going to go so much smoother for you. Joe, there are many things that we can cover to kind of maximize your engagement session. Where do you want to start?
Okay, well, why don't we start with this? Location. Location, location, location. They say this in real estate. We say the same for photography. Figuring out that location that is meaningful and is going to be the background or backdrop for all of your engagement pictures. There are so many different places we can photograph at for engagement pictures. It can be anywhere, really. Is there a park that you guys spend a lot of time at? Is there a favorite coffee shop? A local brewery? Is there, you can think of any of those places that are meaningful to you. Downtown, urban landscapes. This is super fun. The beach, the mountains. Do you guys go to a food truck? Anything that sort of is a special place for that couple. Let's talk about that as a potential location to take all your engagement pictures at.
Have you seen, I think I saw someone, they did their engagement shoot in a McDonald's.
Yeah.
And I think that's super cool. I love McDonald's. I think that's totally relevant if you are a McDonald's couple. I thought that was so cute.
we get to be surrounded by so much beauty here in Hawaii. So I tend to find that most of our couples want to do outdoor scenic landscapes. I love the idea of McDonald's.
So not McDonald's.
but I don't think that for me would be my go-to location. I love being in the mountains. I love being on the beach. We do a lot of engagement pictures under the water, which is super fun to do.
That's very cool.
You can go wherever you want. I think as long as that location is meaningful and special to you guys, that's the perfect spot.
So McDonald's is okay?
I mean, I'm a Jack in the Box guy.
Fine. Okay, listen, I don't want to be the Debbie Downer, but I think one point that I want to make with regards to your comment of take pictures anywhere, parks, beaches, whatever, is there are rules
Sure.
that we have to think about.
Right.
And so I want to tell a quick story. I have a couple, they are working with their photographer, not you. They're looking for a place to do their engagement photos. They want to do it at this hotel, a really, really gorgeous, iconic hotel in Hawaii. But I let them know, the hotel does not allow you to just go on property and take professional photos.
Right. You just can't roll into some of these places and just be like, okay,
yeah,
we're here. Right.
Yeah. Have you had that before?
Yeah, for sure. And I think a lot of this can be solved by reaching out to the property. A lot of properties, like some of the hotels, will charge, like a $500 or $1,000 fee to use the facilities of the hotel. They give it away for free if you're staying there many nights and you just have to apply for it. But you don't want to plan your engagement shoot at a location to be kicked out 2 minutes later from these big buff security dudes that
Right. Well, and it's not just, private estates, but again, parks, beaches, a lot of them require permitting, right?
Sure.
So I think it's working with your professional photographer. If you have a wedding planner, same thing, to figure out what the rules are before you assume it's okay.
There's so many cool locations like inside restaurants or coffee shops or ice cream parlors that are super fun to shoot at. You have to make sure that you contact that business beforehand and make sure that you can get approval. And sometimes they're all about it. They're like, we'd love to open up the store 10, 15 minutes early so you guys can take pictures, just as long as you share them so we can have those for our social and we can share that too.
So smart. I love that idea. One more thing when we're looking at location that I want to talk about, and I feel like I'm the Debbie Downer today, it's weather, right? So it's understanding if you're looking at doing an outdoor photo shoot, it's also considering the weather. It's been raining in Hawaii, guys, for the last week, and it definitely kind of puts a damper in a lot of photo shoots and weddings. So just kind of keeping that in mind, right? What is your backup if it's raining? Or are you okay shooting in the rain and that's your vibe?
So I see the weather a little bit differently. Sometimes I think when it's like really rainy and overcast, those are some of the most beautiful conditions. Sometimes when it's super sunny and there's not a cloud in the sky, it's brutal.
Why?
Well, I think, like the lighting is just really harsh. It's you're sweating, you're melting.
Squinting,
you're squinting,
right? Oh, I
it's
always
not flattering,
squint.
yeah.
I'm the worst person to photograph because I will squint constantly.
But if it's overcast, you're not going to be squinting. The lighting is just a lot more soft. So funny little caveat, we introduced Roxanne and Kavika at the beginning. We did a photo shoot on what was supposed to be a horribly rainy day. And it was the most epic dynamic sunset I've seen in years. And a lot of that was because there was these huge storm clouds brewing, but it didn't dump. And it just was like the whole sky lit up at night and it was gorgeous. And
oh my God, you're getting me so excited for these pictures. I can't wait to see them.
But again, I think weather is something to take into account. The beauty of doing engagement pictures is you usually have flexibility. So if it looks like it's going to be super windy or super sunny, or whatever it is, you usually have flexibility to move dates and times around.
As the professional photographer in the room, would you recommend a better time of day than 12 noon when it's super bright, the sun is in your eye, you're squinting, you're sweating? Like, what would you recommend?
Yeah, so most photographers talk about the golden hour, right? It's that first hour of the day or the last hour of the day when the sun is really low on the horizon, and it's just a lot more flattering of a light. You get a lot more color in the sky. You get those all those fun, beautiful poppy colors of the sunrise or sunset, pinks, oranges, purples, all that good stuff, right?
I love the purple sunsets.
And also, it tends to be a lot cooler. The sun is just rising or the sun is setting and it's not as hot. So, for me, I think that is also something to keep in mind. Are you going to be sweating in your photos, right? That's the time that I like to photograph at. Other photographers may prefer that really bright, sunny feel, and it might be a little bit harder of a condition to work in, but it's really colorful. Right, you get those blue skies and the ocean lights up, right? And so, again, it really depends on, I think, what you want to accomplish in your photos. When we're doing underwater photos, midday sun is awesome because there's just so much light that lights up underneath the water. Again, it really depends on where you're shooting, what you're shooting, right? And, kind of what the end goal is of the photo shoot. All right, so what do you have, Tessa? What's next for you in terms of kind of getting started, getting the ball rolling with your engagement pictures?
Something that I think is really important, and I think this is kind of one of those 50-50 where some of my couples do, some don't, getting professional hair and makeup done.
Yeah, for sure.
And the reason for that, right, is a couple reasons. Number one, if you're going to do a hair and makeup trial anyway, do it before your engagement shoot. You're going to be meeting with a professional anyway. Have them do your hair and makeup for your wedding style. And let them know, hey, I'm going to be doing my engagement shoot. Then they can kind of change your look, soften it, maybe adjust your hair. What I like about having professional hair and makeup is it can hold up to the elements. Mm-hmm. So again, if you are going to be taking pictures right at noon and you're sweating, professional hair and makeup is going to last so much better than if you try to do it yourself. Same with, even if you're doing it at sunset, having your eyes pop a little more, or, just kind of understanding that this makeup is meant to be photographed, I think it's really helpful. I was talking with a photographer who, his bride didn't do professional hair and makeup. She just had her hair down and it was windy. And he's like, she just needed a professional to kind of spray her hair and get it in place.
Right, to keep that hold and everything. I think this, again, like if we go back to where we started this conversation, again, when it comes to your wedding day, if you've already worked with your photographer and now you've already worked with your hair and makeup artist, again, it just gives you that much more confidence for your wedding day. You're like, I know how my photographer is. I know how my makeup artist is. I like what they did. Like, I think it breaks a lot of ice, breaks a lot of barriers for our couples to just walk into their wedding day feeling confident and feeling great.
Exactly. And I think it's so nice when you have a trial for your hair and makeup and you know what it's like and you feel comfortable with it. You're going into your wedding already, again, just one less piece of anxiety.
All right. Quick question. You're the wedding coordinator. You get to plan. You look at people's budget. Do hair and makeup artists do like a discounted rate for hair and makeup trial? Is it the full rate? Is there, is this way that they can shine and book like all the bridesmaids too? Like, is there anything to that?
Most of them, it's the regular rate. Okay. So it's just, you're not going to get a discount. Some will. So if you've already booked them for your wedding, some will offer a discount to add on a trial.
Yeah.
But most of them, you're just paying for another service.
Okay.
Yeah.
Oh, man.
But is it worth it? Yes. I think it's worth it.
I know we like to talk about girls a lot. Love the girls.
You love girls.
But let's talk about the guys. Love the guys too. All right. So all our guys listening up too, guys, make sure that you have a fresh haircut. And if you shave your face, make sure your face is shaven for your engagement pictures. And I see that a lot of times where our ladies will have beautiful hair and makeup done. And then the guy just shows up and it's like, meh, like they didn't do anything. And there's a lot we can do, right? And a fresh haircut, fresh shave, you're going to look great for your photos. A 5 o'clock shadow, it's not cutting it for engagement pictures.
But how fresh? Like I've seen some haircuts where I'm like, oh, it's too short.
No,
give it a couple days. I don't know.
You got to go to the right guy, right?
Okay. Can I tell you my issue with the guys?
What do you got?
So again, just like you were saying, right? The ladies will put a lot of time and energy into their hair and makeup, just looking really good. And I've seen some guys sometimes that just roll up in like their jeans and shorts or whatever. Like, like t-shirts, like they don't put any thought into their attire.
Right.
And so I want to talk about that.
Yeah, for sure. Because this is, I think, one of the most essential pieces of a successful engagement shoot, what you guys actually wear.
Yes. And it's both of you, right? As a couple, number one, you need to wear something that looks good on you.
Sure.
You also need something that looks good complementing each other.
Yep.
And also looking good complementing your background.
Right.
So it's kind of tricky, right?
All right, Tessa, you're going to hate this.
Why? What are you doing?
But I love engagement photo inspiration for styles, for attire, for, just anything on Pinterest.
You know how I feel about Pinterest.
Because Pinterest has, they're showing, actual photo shoots and what couples are wearing. And even they have these awesome color palettes that are in that. Like if she's wearing pink, what can guys wear that complements this color, whatever. That is what we want to do. We want to complement each other.
So one thing that I want to say about Pinterest is when you're doing it for the engagement photos, I'm okay with it because it doesn't affect their budget for me. So it's fine. If they're looking for inspiration on what to wear for their engagement photos, go nuts. Okay. Go all over Pinterest.
Okay. Well, let's break it down to a few things about outfits. I think, again, there are some rules of thumb that we can follow just to set ourselves up for success. We want to think color. Okay. Are the colors that we're looking at, are they going to be clashing with each other, clashing with the background? So, for example, think of this, right? You're in this beautiful mountain. Everything is green.
Should I wear green?
Right. No, you shouldn't, because you're going to just blend away into the background. And you're not going to stand out, right? What colors would be great? I would say like yellows or oranges, like a poppy color that separates you from that green background. I personally would say, don't wear red. Why would I say that?
Christmas.
It's Christmas. Yeah, you look like it's Christmas, right? So you think, okay, so we're at the beach, turquoise waters, blue skies. What color should we pick?
Blue? Don't wear blue?
If you're going to wear blue, you can do it, but you have to make sure that it's contrasting enough with the background. So you probably see people that are doing beach photos, they're going to be wearing like real light shades of blue, not dark blue like the water, not dark blue like the clouds. It's going to be lighter colors. So you kind of think about that. Like, it's not just what you're wearing, but it's also that landscape that you're going to be taking pictures in.
So do you remember, I took my Christmas photos this year, and it was funny because I did it in the mountains. So somewhere different. We normally do beach.
Yeah.
And I remember having a conversation. I'm like, what colors should I wear? And you were like, and I was like, I have a really nice like brown outfit or green. And you're like, don't do that. And so I think we ended up where I think I was wearing like an orangey romper. My daughter had, again, like we were in prints, but like very soft prints. And I put my husband in like a mustard shirt.
Yeah.
So again, we had those orange and yellows, and like it's probably one of my favorite photos to date.
And you can clearly see there's a separation between you guys and that background. And you want to make sure that, like, I guess as a photographer, we want to see the distinction between the subject and the background. And if everything kind of blends together, it's not striking.
Right, exactly.
I do want to talk about a few other things. Patterns. Let's talk about patterns. I tend to think that this is another place where it can become too busy on the eye if you have too many conflicting patterns. So if you have like someone was wearing an aloha print and the other person is wearing stripes, your eye is naturally drawn into that outfit and not the couple. And that's something that we want to avoid. Just think about how your eyes work when you see an image. Are you instantly gravitated to the outfit, or are you instantly gravitated to the couple? And we want to think your outfit complements you, but you're the star of the show. And so
I am the star of the show.
And so again, I tend to feel like more neutrals, where there's not super busy prints, tend to photograph better for engagement pictures than just having too much color or too many like conflicting patterns.
Okay, so this is my thought on pattern. I feel like I'm more stylish than you.
Yeah, probably.
I don't know. We're wearing matching sweatshirts right now, so I don't know. But my thought is this, right? Pattern is good, and I like having pattern to kind of draw attention, but you don't want to overdo it.
Right.
And with that, what I mean is if I'm wearing a super, super big or bright pattern, and so is my fiance, you're going to be conflicting with each other, right? It's going to be a lot. It's going to pull from you two. People will be staring at your outfits, not you.
Right. And the whole point of the engagement pictures is to show you guys together, not like clashing with each other. So if your outfits look like they're clashing with each other, you guys are kind of going to look like you're clashing with each other. That's not the vibe you want to be like putting out there to the world. You want to show that you guys are together. And I think, again, when you think of outfits, can you bring that together with colors and patterns and designs and these sort of things?
Exactly. And, for me, like I'm a fan of mixing prints, which is very popular. But my thought is if you want to do that, stick to one person with a little bit of pattern and different style, and the other person go more neutral to complement that one.
Yeah, absolutely. A lot of times with my couples too, I actually ask them to bring more than one outfit. Okay?
You do?
Yeah, for sure. And I think isn't that nice to be able to have more casual photos at whatever the location is, and then maybe a little bit more dressy, more formal after? I think that's something that is nice to have those different pictures. And you might be like, I really feel like the casual vibe is more our thing when you see the pictures, or you're like, wow, I'm glad this isn't what we're sharing. I'm a more formal person. So I think it's okay to have both.
Where do they change? Where do you change your clothes?
You just grab a towel and you do it that way.
Got it.
No, I think there's always places to change.
And honestly, when my couples share their engagement photos, I love when there's a dress change. Like I love it when there's an outfit change. It changes the vibe. You're right. I've seen some when they're in their shorts, they're on the beach, and then you kind of take them to a different venue or even the same venue and they're just in formal attire, and it completely changes the look.
Yeah,
I love it. I love it.
Okay, we're not done with outfits yet.
Of course not.
I have one more thing I want to share. And I see this, and I think it's so sad when it happens. Guys, girls, like steam your dress, iron your pants,
Yes.
iron your shirt. Like there's nothing worse than, you have this nice outfit, but then it's like, it looks like it's just fresh out of the laundry basket, right? And you're like,
Or they just bought it and you have those crease lines down your shirt, right? So brand spanking new.
Right.
You got to steam it out.
Yeah.
Get a steamer. They're like $20 on Amazon, and do it right. Okay, so I've seen a lot of really cool ideas on Pinterest. I know, don't judge me, but Do you ever see people bringing props to their engagement shoots?
Yeah. So plug for Pinterest. Tessa's on board. She's drinking the juice.
Only today.
No, I mean, there's so many cool things that I see. Like our couples might bring some fun ways to like showcase the save the date, right? Or they might, they bring their rings and they have, some fun ways to incorporate the rings into their engagement pictures. I really love it when we bring our fur babies to the photo shoot, right? You might have a pup or a dog, or I've never seen a cat, but
or a rabbit.
But it's super cute to incorporate some of those things. So I think if it makes sense, but you also don't want to make it look kind of like cliche and tacky, where you're bringing just a bunch of random crap. Again, focus on you guys and the things that are important to you.
One more thing that I want to share is after your engagement session, you're all dolled up, everyone's looking good, plan a date night.
Yeah, right.
Go to dinner. Take advantage of looking good and just spend some time together.
Yeah, why not? You're looking great, feeling great. You just finished all your awkward photos.
Yeah, talk about your photographer. Get excited about your wedding. This is kind of the start to your wedding. And so I definitely feel like you should take advantage and have a really good time.
Yeah, I love that idea. I think that's a great way to finish the photo shoot. It's dinner, drinks, night out on the town. Why not?
So let's recap. What did we learn today, Joe? You go first.
Okay, we talked about location. Location. Is there a location that's special, meaningful to you? And sometimes if you're completely drawing a blank, talk to your photographer, because photographers have 1,000 recommendations. So again, it doesn't necessarily have to be something that you know for a fact. A photographer can help you with that.
And don't forget, guys, with location, plan in advance, because if you need to get permission, if there are rules, you want to make sure you know that before you show up on the day.
Totally.
The next one is timing, right? What time of the day makes sense for your photos? Are you trying to go for the super bright, dramatic blues and greens and whatever colors? Then you're going to go midday. If you're wanting something a little more subtle, golden hour, right? Sunrise, sunset, those kind of things.
And again, that's a conversation have with your photographer, because again, they're going to know the best times at those locations to do the photo shoot at.
For sure. Always involve your photographer in that decision.
Next, your engagement pictures are a perfect time for your hair and makeup trial. And guys, a nice, fresh new cut and shave, of course.
I think one of our most important points is attire, right? Not just looking good on you or complimenting each other, but also complimenting the location that you're doing your photos.
One of the biggest mistakes I see is not ironing and steaming your outfits beforehand. Have that pressed, have it ready to go, and it'll look great in your photos.
Such a good point. And finally, plan a date night. If you are getting dolled up, if you guys are looking all sharp, take that time for each other, spend some QT at dinner, talk about your photos, talk about your wedding, get yourselves excited. It's perfect.
Yeah, take your honey out on that date. Well, we hope you guys enjoyed our show today. Again, I think the takeaway is make sure you talk to your photographer in advance, right? And make sure, you bounce all those ideas off your photographer. Even your coordinator will help out with some of these things. And as always, thanks for listening. Email us all your questions. We love hearing from you guys. And we will see you guys on another episode.
See you soon.
Thanks for listening to another episode of Unveiling Paradise.
If you enjoy our show, please follow us and rate us on Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. It would really mean a lot.
And don't forget to also get on our mailing list and follow us on Instagram. Just do it already.
Until next time, this is Tessa.
And this is Joe.
And don't forget, your happily ever after
is just a plane ride away.